Let's go to work. John 11, verses 20 through 22. From the King James Version says, then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary sat still in the house. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. But I know that whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. I just need a few moments of your time as we deal with the subject that the Lord has dropped in my spirit on tonight. I heard today that you don't ask about how many survivors are in the house, but how many warriors are in the house. And I just need a show of hands. How many warriors are in the house? Someone needs you to go with me and help me bring this message. Look at your neighbor and say, God gets the glory out of too late. Y'all gonna pray with me? God gets the glory out of too late. From my humanist side, I sought to bring a message tonight that I had not delivered in the past. Even as I entered this sanctuary on tonight, I was not sure of one of two messages of what I would bring tonight. But something happened in the service. God spoke to my spirit, quickened my spirit, and said, tell my people that I get the glory out of too late. So I desire that you pray fervently for me as I do what the Lord has opted for me to do. The Gospel of John has a central theme, which is to prove the deity of Jesus Christ and to promote relationship with him. The key word in this chapter is believe. And we find it recorded 98 times in the book. Now, you must recognize that John wrote nearly a generation after all of the other writers had finished. He wrote between 80 and 100 A.D. All of the other New Testament had been completed, except for his writings. And the life and the works of Jesus was well known. The gospel had been preached. Paul and Peter had died, and most of the apostles had died. Y'all gonna pray with me? Now, preachers, you know the word, so I'm gonna need you to help me. It is believed that their works had been completed before 70 A.D. Within this book, John calls witnesses to collaborate his beliefs. And if you don't mind, I would like to consult those witnesses on tonight. First of all, Jesus turns water into wine in chapter 2. Then there is the healing of the nobleman's son in chapter 4. This is followed by the healing of the man at Bethesda in chapter 5. We also have the feeding of the 5,000 and the walking on water in chapter 6. In addition, we have one of my favorites, the healing of the blind man in chapter 9. And then finally in our text tonight, the raising of Lazarus, the final sign in chapter 11. Are you with me? If any persons were considered to be close close friends of Jesus, it would have been Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. Their relationship was so tight that when Lazarus became deathly ill, his sister sent word to Jesus. It was not even necessary to use Lazarus' name. They just said, he whom thou lovest, I'm going to need some help, is sick. Now, being close to Jesus and knowing his hectic, busy schedule, you had to suspect that this was an urgent message. They had not seen Lazarus this sick before, and they believed that it was a case that only Jesus could handle. However, when the message is delivered to Jesus, he nonchalantly says, this sickness is not unto death, but that God can get the glory, and that the Son of God will be glorified. I didn't write it, it's in the book. Now, to the human ear, that sounded like, do not worry. Lazarus is not about to die. At least not from this sickness. It sounded like Lazarus would survive beyond this condition. Do I have any help? I need about 15 of you to help me. Now, I see y'all don't want to work with me tonight. So I said it sounded like that Jesus was simply saying, don't get all in a panic. Everything will be all right. It sounded like he was saying that to me, especially when Jesus stayed where he was, doing what he was doing for an additional 2 days. You better tell somebody, nobody knows the mind of God. Yeah, we'll be thinking that he's going to work one. Oh, I can't even get a witness. Our human mind will tell us he's going to work it out like he did it last time. But God will be thinking a very different way. Come on now, we think it had to go one way for God to work, but God said, I'm able to do more than you can ask or think. And he will get the glory out of too late. I feel something sneaking up on me. I'm trying to be nice. Now, by my calculations, and I must admit I was not that great in math in school. As a matter of fact, when I was in there, they called it arithmetic. But some kind of way I could add 3 and 3 and come up with 7. So I'm letting you know I wasn't that good in math. But by my calculation, if Jesus waited 2 days, come on here somebody, before he left for Bethany, and when he arrived, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here. Then the journey might have been 4 to 6 days long. That's not Bible, that's just Patricia Lewis 1 and 1. And I'm just thinking. Now, Jesus never did anything haphazardly. Y'all still with me? He already knew what he would do when he waited 2 additional days. He already knew that Mary and Martha had been anxiously waiting and looking for him to show up at any moment. He already knew that they expected him to get there and turn this situation about face and stop the pain. He already knew that the preparation of the body had already taken place. He already knew that the notices of Lazarus' death had already gone out. He already knew that the family and friends had gathered and the time for viewing the body had passed. I wish I had some help. He already knew that the burial site was prepared. He already knew that the body had been placed in the tomb. And he already knew that the tomb had been sealed. Y'all ain't gonna help me. He already knew. And as I was preparing this message, I read an item that talked about a myth that was believed in Lazarus' day. Do you mind if I share that with you? The myth of that day was that once a person died, their spirit close to the body just in case the body came back to life. However, somebody said, however, the belief was that the spirit would only stay 3 days. Y'all ain't getting this. Because after 3 days, there was no hope of that body being resurrected. Therefore, Jesus already knew that he had to dispel the myth. I wish I had some help, man. Because as I prepared the message, I looked at the rate of decomposition of the body in intense heat. In a closed or sealed site. The body structure, I don't want to gross you out, and the flesh and the muscle disintegrates. Insects begin to form and feed on the rotting flesh. The heart that, y'all ain't gonna help me, that was once pumping in the body turns to powder. And so does the blood. Y'all ain't gonna help me. The flesh no longer maintains its status but comes away from the skeleton. He already knew. Come on here now. And the people of this time, though they had seen the dead raised, it had never been 4 days. And for Jesus to wait 4 days, to them, it was clearly an example of too late. Come on now. There would be no flesh on the bone. Too late. Because that myth of the spirit had departed on the 3rd. Too late. Because the crystal ball readers and the astrologers said it was too late. Too late. Because the witches and the warlocks said it was too late. Too late to raise Lazarus now for human eye to see and the human mind to conceive. And somebody had to say that if Lazarus got up, it would be a divine, uncontested miracle that only the anointed one from on high could perform. If y'all stay with me, I'm going somewhere. But when he got there, shut the door. He let them all know that he was the resurrection. And he was the light. Come on here. And he that believed in him, though he was dead, yet could he live. Oh, y'all ain't gonna help me in here. Martha ran out to meet Jesus when she heard that he had arrived. And it sounded like, here I go with it again, that she was affirming her faith in Jesus by saying, if you had come in time, my brother would still be alive. It sounded like she believed Jesus could still raise Lazarus because she said, whatever you ask the Father, he'll give it to you. Maybe because she felt it was too late, that she felt Jesus wouldn't even try to raise Lazarus now. Even when Jesus asked that the stone be rolled away, she was still thinking maybe he just wanted to see, because she said to him, Master, he's thinking by now. Lord have mercy. It's not recorded in the book, but I look like to me Jesus should have looked around. Do you think it's too late? It's not too late for me. Y'all ain't gonna help me. She ran to get her sister Mary to let her know that Jesus was acting a little strange at the tomb of Lazarus. Come on now. And we know the story. They rolled the stone away. Y'all gonna help me, preachers? Huh? They rolled the stone away. And Jesus didn't say, bring me the blessed oil. Come on here, somebody. But when the stone was rolled away, Jesus said was, Lazarus, hey, Lazarus, not yet, come forth. And I'm glad he called Lazarus. I'm glad he called him by name. Because in research for this message, I also found that once a body stayed in a tomb for over a year, they would take the bones out, clean the bones up real good, and then put them in a pretty box and stack them in the back of the tomb. So there could have been several bodies or several skeletons already in the tomb. But Jesus was not concerned about the other skeletons. All he wanted was for Lazarus to come forth. Lord have mercy. And when Jesus said, Lazarus, come forth, the flesh said, wait a minute, I just heard the master's voice. That was rotten, y'all ain't gonna help me, came back to his true state. The heart that had turned, y'all ain't gonna help me, to powder congeal again and begin to pump. Y'all ain't gonna help me. The blood that had turned to powder had stopped running, began to run. Y'all ain't gonna help me. The insects that had been feeding on the body regurgitated those parts as it got back in play, because the God Almighty said, Lazarus, come forth. So he raised Lazarus. I got to make another point. Not only did he raise Lazarus, but he healed Lazarus. When Jesus brought him forth, that had killed him, y'all ain't gonna help me, in the first place, he was delivered from. And not only that, Jesus said, loose him. I believe I got 15 folks. Loose him and let him go. Loose him and set him free. So he was raised, he was healed, he was set free. Don't you let Jesus call your name. He will resurrect you from your dead situation. Somebody say, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm about to get out of here. But I heard God as I was preparing this message. He said, tell my people that think you have dead relationships, dead friendships, dead ministries, and look like the doors are sealed. God said it's not too late. It's not too late for you. Mother that have that son that's strung out on drugs, it's not too late. Somebody's got somebody that's locked up in jail with a life sentence. But I heard the Lord say that if I speak to that situation, I can open the door and let them out of jail. If your body is sick and the doctor say you're in stage 4, I heard the mother say today that I rebuke the cancer devil. I bind him up right now. Cancer in the throat, prostate cancer, cancer in the colon, wherever you got it. The God that I serve is not concerned on what part of your body that the cancer is in. It can be in your breast. It can be in your eye. It can be in your ear. It can be in your womb. But when Jesus speaks in that situation, it's got to be resurrected, because God is able to do anything but fail. If your employer fired you yesterday and you don't see a bright tomorrow, if your mortgage is in foreclosure, if they're ready to repossess your car. The God I serve, I said the God I serve, he can speak to those situations and turn them around. I said he will. It's not over until God said it's over. God will and God can show up in a little time and turn things around. Y'all ain't gonna help me. Some things need to die so God can resurrect new and better things. God gets the glory out of too late. Therefore, when it seems like it's too late, it's not too late, because God is a God, an on-time God. May not come when you want him, but it's right on time. You can't hurry God. You just gotta wait and give him time. You gotta trust him and never doubt. He will surely bring you out. He may not come when you want him, but he's right on. Somebody said right on. Right on time. Somebody say it. Somebody say it. The prophet Isaiah proclaimed in Isaiah 40:28 through 31. Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young man shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall, y'all ain't gonna help me. They shall mount up on wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. Y'all don't want to help me. They shall walk and not faint. It's not too late. God told me to tell you, when it looks like it's too late, it's not too late for God. Somebody say it. Somebody say it. Oh! I'm going to get out of here. I said I'm going to get out of here. But few years ago, I was on my way to a revival. I've been going there a long time. Jesus. I said I've been going a long time. But this particular time, the Lord spoke to me and said, I want you to fast and pray more than you usually do. And I said, yes, Lord. And I went on a consecration. I said, I went on a consecration. And when my departure day came, I went to the Memphis airport. And I got on the plane. And we took off at the scheduled time. But when we got to the runway, the captain made an announcement. He said, I've just been advised. There's a storm up ahead. And we're going to wait until the storm gets weaker before we take on. That was fine with me. But I didn't know how long We had to wait for the fuel truck to come and put some more fuel in the little 16-passenger plane that we were on. And so we waited, and once the plane was fueled, we took off in the air. Then the little captain told us, when we got about 20,000 feet, he said, what I'm going to do, because I've been advised that the storm is still ahead, I'm going to go out about 50 miles. I'm going to go in the back of Chattanooga and try to come in that way. Y'all ain't going to help, man, because the storm is still intense. And he said, I'm going to climb a little higher. So we went up to 25,000 feet. We went up to 30,000 feet. But when we got close to Chattanooga, y'all ain't gonna help me, we met the storm head on. And it looked like somebody was on the right side of the plane, pulling the plane that way. And somebody else was on the left side of the plane, pulling the plane that way. And there we were, 30,000 feet in the air, in a tug of war, in a bad storm. I tried to pray, real cute, mother. I said, Father, these are some very bad turbulences. I prayed real quiet. I said, do you remember that I'm on here? You've given me a word for the people in Chattanooga. But it looks like this storm is not going to let us go. Some of the worst turbulences that I had ever been in. And I was going from side to side with the plane. To make matters worse, the little engine on the right side stopped going around, and the plane began to teeter, rock and reel. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here. But when the pilot lost control, the plane started coming down. People started screaming, saying we're getting ready to die. The old woman sitting next to me from Chicago, Illinois, she started screaming so loud I couldn't hear myself pray. I hit her in the chest. I said, shut up, woman. I'm trying to get in touch with God. And at that point, I forgot about being cute. I forgot about what was proper. I was getting too close to the ground. It was too late if God didn't step in. But as I prayed and prayed in tongues and prayed out loud, God caught the plane in the palm of his hand, blew on the engine, and the engine started rotating. Took that plane, threw it back up in the air. No more turbulence. Got to Chattanooga in one piece. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter what it looks like. If God be for you, he's more than the world against. If God be for you, he will step in. Just when you need to know. Somebody say yeah. Somebody say yeah. God wants to do it. God wants to work a miracle. If you can believe it, you can receive it. Turn it over to God. Stop worrying about it. He can fix it when nobody else can fix it. He can turn it around. He can pick you up, turn you around, place your feet on a solid foundation. All you gotta do is let God have it. Somebody say yeah. Oh yeah. When we got to Chattanooga, nobody had said anything to me. When we landed, got off the plane, I let them all get off ahead of me because they all passed me by looking at me strange. I said, Lord, I done clown here, but I sure do thank you. Because you're let me tell you, when you get in trouble, what's down on the inside will come out. Bishop, I let everybody get by. I was fumbling with my overhead little bag. I said, come on back, baby. Come on back. I gave them enough time to get into the whatever that thing is. Terminal, that's right. Gave them enough time, Supervisor, to get into the terminal. By the time I thought that they were there, I finally was able to get that bag down. But when I walked to the door of that plane, those passengers had not gone into the terminal. They were standing on the ground. And when I stepped in the door, we had to come down steps in Chattanooga then. They didn't have a jetway. Come on now. And when I stepped in the door, Sister William, they went to clapping. They said, that's the woman that brought us in. I looked down there and the pilot was clapping too. Because he knew it was too late. I said he knew it was too late. We were sure to crash. Y'all ain't gonna help me. And when I came down the stairs, they patted me on my back and said, thank you for bringing us in. Thank you for praying and praying us down on the ground safe. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here. I said, y'all ain't gonna help me in here. The old woman that was sitting next to me said, here's my number. Pray for my daughter. She's been in a coma for 2 weeks, and they said she's getting ready to die. Here's my number. Pray for me and call me later. I said, thank you. Put it in my purse. Went on to the revival, had a shouting good time as I told them what God had done. About 2 or 3 days later, I was looking for something in my purse, and I found the old lady's number. I said, oh, let me call her. I called the number, and I thought it was her. Said, hello. I said, is this Miss whatever her name was? She said, no, she's not here. She said, who's calling, please? I said, this is Evangelist Lewis. She said, oh, yes. My mama told me about you. I said, who is this? She said, I'm the daughter that was supposed to be dead. I woke up a day ago, and I'm getting ready to go home. Just when you think that you're into your role, he will resurrect whatever he wants to. He'll pick you up and he'll turn you around and he'll place your feet